Codependency sounds like, I need you, I can't live without you, you complete me. While interdependency sounds like, I want you, we make such a great team, I'm so glad you're my partner. There's no couple who don't have a fight. There's only couple who don't know how to have a fight. Relationship is not a glass. You have a crack and you throw it away and get a new one. Relationship is more like a plain cloth. Every time there is a hole, you add a patch to it to make it complete again. And over time, you get a more colorful cloth, which is called your relationship. How beautiful is that? Welcome to another episode of the Toolkit for Quarterlife podcast. I'm your friend Kitty, as in Hello Kitty. Here you'll find all the tools you need to go through the quarterlife crisis. Let's make these years count. What's the difference between interdependence and codependence? How can we build trust with sliding door moments? How to speak the love language of your significant other? All these questions belong to a really interesting subject called relationship. So after 13 years of being single, mostly happy single, life recently threw me a delightful curveball. I've got a boyfriend. I cherish this relationship a lot and aspire to nurture it. However, I see myself as a complete beginner. Navigating this unfamiliar territory feels quite daunting for me. As I said to my friends, I feel like you guys are all in chapter 10 or 11 in this module called relationship, while I just enrolled and am busy catching up from chapter 1. So I did what I would normally do when I have questions. I sought wisdom from my friends. I reached out to a bunch of my friends and asked, what's the most important lesson you've learned from all your past relationships? And here we are with this episode, 10 relationship lessons from my friends and their love stories. Let's dive right in. Lesson number 1. You don't need to be that independent. 2 years ago, my friend arrived at Ireland for study, feeling like a newcomer with no bearings. Her boyfriend, who has lived in Ireland for quite a few years, became her guide, helping her navigating through university life, driving her to classes, and sorting out her living arrangement. Before moving to Ireland, however, she always sees herself as a very independent woman, doing internships in all different cities in China, living, working on her own. So she started questioning her reliance on him, doubting her independence. But then she had a light bulb moment after learning about the difference between two concepts, codependence and interdependence. Codependency sounds like, I need you, I can't live without you, you complete me. While interdependency sounds like, I want you, we make such a great team, I'm so glad you're my partner. I know being dependent on another person can sound scary and even unhealthy. Because growing up, we are often taught an overinflated value of independence to be somewhat self-contained, with a high value placed on not needing others for emotional support or any form of support. I think this is to prevent us from being codependent on others.
If you leave me, can I come with you? Which is codependency in a nutshell.
But interdependency is a completely different thing. Interdependency suggests that partners recognize and value the importance of emotional bond they share while maintaining a solid sense of self within the relationship dynamic. A 2016 study trusted source found that couples in interdependent relationships gain strength from knowing that they could each live their own lives and pursue personal goals with the support and encouragement of their partner. As valuable as having a sense of independence is, taken to an extreme, this can actually get in the way of us being able to connect emotionally with others in a meaningful way. Emotional intimacy with a partner can be difficult to achieve, even scary, or not seen as particularly valuable in a relationship for those who have an extraordinary sense of independence, like my friend. But now she knows the difference between these two. She knows that she's not codependent on her partner. And she's a great role model of developing a healthy, interdependent relationship. She told me it's completely okay to lean on your partner for assistance, even if you're capable of doing the things yourself. Knowing how to cook, how to fix things, how to move houses doesn't mean you must do them all by yourself. In a relationship, it's not about inability, but rather choosing to share burdens to ease life and foster a stronger bond. My friends also said she started to learn not to box herself with labels. Oh no, he's spending too much on me, I'm such a spendthrift. Or he does so much for me, I'm not independent anymore. Or his actions sway my emotions so much, I'm love struck. Things like that. An independent person recognizes the value of vulnerability, being able to turn to their partner in meaningful ways to create emotional intimacy. They also value a sense of self that allows them and their partner to be themselves without any need to compromise who they are or their value systems. That wraps up the first lesson. Learn to be interdependent on your partner, not codependent. Lesson number 2, keep the reassurance flowing. I remember there is a line in a movie that goes like, as long as I don't say I stop loving you anymore, then that means I still love you. Seriously? I found it far from romantic. Actually, it felt like a cop-out, a shitty excuse for not offering reassurance. Having grown up in East Asia, where verbal declarations of love aren't the norm, I see a real opportunity for growth in our expression of affection. So here's the advice I got from a friend who has been happily together with her partner for over 5 years so far, which is make reassurance a constant in your relationship. Don't just love your partner, tell them, show them, make them feel it. Romantic love is probably the most fragile thing in this entire world. But its very fragility is what makes it precious. So, you need to remind your partner, you need to remind yourself all the time. Keep the flame alive, not with grand gestures, but with small everyday reaffirmations. It's the I love you before bed, it's the quick text during a busy day, it's the look that says, I see you and I appreciate you. Reassurances can also be in many forms, which reminds me of a concept I just learned, sliding door moments.
Turns out that trust is built in very small moments, which I call sliding door moments, after the movie Sliding Doors. Because in any interaction, there's a possibility of connection with our partner or turning away from our partner. Let me give you an example of that from my own relationship. So one night I was really wanting to finish a mystery novel. I thought I knew who the killer was, but I wanted to really find out. So I put the novel on my bedside and I walked in to the bathroom. And before I even got into the bathroom, I looked at my wife's face in the mirror and she looked sad. She was brushing her hair. So there was a sliding door moment. I had a choice. I could kind of sneak out of the bathroom and think, I don't want to deal with her sadness tonight. I want to read my novel. Now that really wouldn't define our relationship any, but because I'm a sensitive researcher of relationships, I decided to go into the bathroom. I took the brush from her hair and I said, what's the matter, baby? She told me why she was sad. Now, that moment, I was building trust. I was there for her, right? I was connecting with her, rather than choosing to think only about what I wanted. These are the moments that we've discovered that build trust. And one such moment is not that important. But if you're always choosing to turn away, then trust erodes in the relationship. Very gradually, very slowly. And next slide, you can see
Bits for attention or emotional connection create sliding door moments. When you say I love you or complain about your boss, you want a response from your partner that both acknowledge and or validates your bid. How your partner responds can set your relationship on a few different trajectories, hence the sliding door reference. When your partner does not respond or they turn away from the bid, you naturally begin to lose trust in them. The reasons for failed connection are often the result of mindlessness, not malice. However, they add up over time, creating complex systems of positive or negative sentiment override. So, while the love is here, it deserves to be celebrated, acknowledged, and spoken, loudly and often. Moving on to the next lesson. I'm quoting my friend here. Loving yourself is always the first priority. Men are not reliable. Ooh, that's definitely a very spicy one. Love isn't reliable at all. Love always vanishes, said my friend. The reason for this is that she has gone through 2 breakups over the last year. For one guy, she felt that he loves programming more than he loves her. He was too busy to even make time for dating. For the other guy, he couldn't handle the idea of long-term relationship post-graduation. Even my friend was okay with that. Now, this got me thinking, and I'm kind of on the fence here. Firstly, I'm all in for self-love. Those of you who have watched my videos on Red know that my content is all about self-care, self-love, and mindfulness. So absolutely, the relationship with yourself is your top priority. It's your core. You cherish yourself, you invest your own growth, you nurture your soul, and that's the version of you that pulls others in, that attract other self-sufficient people. And of course, this doesn't stop when love walks in. You don't glow up for someone else, you do it for yourself. And that's the beauty of it. 2 self-loving individuals don't complete each other like 2 puzzle pieces. Instead, they amplify each other like 2 full circles merging together to create an even bigger circle. However, here's where I pause. Painting all men with the unreliable brush? I don't really think so. At least I know my dad is reliable. My grandpa is reliable. And they've also shown that love evolves. Sure, the fury passion may simmer down, but what it becomes is this more resilient, more profound connection. From the honeymoon phase through some chilly times and then settling into this comfortable, warm, stable kind of love. Perhaps sometimes love seems to disappear because we're not sticking around to witness its transformation. And after hearing the first story, the guy is always too busy coding, I recommended her something called the 5 love language test. The idea for this test is that different people with different personalities give and receive love in very different ways. Primarily, there are 5 ways: words of affirmation, gift giving, physical touch, quality time, and act of service. By learning to recognize these preferences in yourself and in your loved ones, you can learn to identify the root of your conflicts. Because in so many cases, they arise from not meeting each other's needs. You'll be able to connect more profoundly and truly begin to grow closer. So for that programming guy, obviously quality time isn't the top love language for him, while it matters a lot to my friend. So if they were able to align on this earlier, maybe they can learn to better speak each other's love language and didn't need to go through the heartbreak. I'll put the link of the love language test in the show note, and I highly recommend everyone to take the test. Lesson number 4, the big 3 for dating. When I first jumped into the world of dating a couple of months back, a friend gave me 3 golden rules, which is be direct, be honest, be safe. He told me to repeat them 10 times every single day, as they have the magic power to save myself from any unnecessary heartbreak or drama. At first, I saw these were standards I had to meet when dating, but then my friend made it clear. This goes both ways. He asked me, could you really handle a dishonest partner who doesn't stick to the truth? How about someone who never says what they mean, always giving you the runaround? Or what about being with someone who makes you feel uneasy or scared instead of safe? And all these principles do work wonders. However, as easy as they may sound, it actually takes a lot to master all these three principles, and I myself, I'm still working on it. Because sometimes I would still be afraid that some of my needs are too selfish, or some things are not that black and white. Should I say it? Should I not? Would it make me feel like someone too needy, or I don't know, just not myself anymore? Mastering all these three principles take practice. Every time I learn to speak up my mind, which is hard in lots of cases, I started to learn these three principles a little bit. So here's the deal according to my friend. If your date or partner seriously violate these three key things, don't just walk away, run away, because you deserve a relationship filled with respect, truth, and a genuine sense of security. Anything less just isn't worth your time. Be direct, be honest, be safe. Next lesson is an interesting one. It's about thoughts on long distance. When I asked, what's the biggest lesson from that? How many years is that? They've been together since their sophomore years. So it should be 4 to 5 years so far. What's your biggest takeaway from that relationship? My friend was like, don't do long distance. Now, no judgment on that because I'm no expert. Personally, I have never been in a long-term relationship, but I've seen enough breakups that triggered by miles away. But then again, there are also many success stories. The long-distance couple who end up walking down the aisle. So I also reached out to some other friends who have done long distance before. They said the key here is about understanding that this is all temporary. It's about both of you knowing that this phase, this time apart, is just for now. And meanwhile, both of you are working really hard for the day you finally be together again. Lesson number 6, take it easy. My friend shared a story that really hit home. After her current girlfriend split with her ex, she was convinced her world was crumbled, certain she would never find any love again. But then, as my friend put it with a chuckle, she found me. Now, the moral here isn't about having plenty fish in the sea or not putting all your emotional eggs in one basket. It's about easing up. It's about savoring the now and channeling your energy into nurturing your relationship rather than agonizing over what the future might hold. Let me share a culture quirk. Being Chinese, I grew up in a task-centric environment. And honestly, I'm still unlearning that mindset, especially when it comes to relationships. Don't treat relationships like a task you have to ace alone. That phase before a relationship becomes official is very much like an ongoing exam. Every person is scrutinizing the other's attractiveness, personality, compatibility from every word, every action, every text. And from a female perspective in heterosexual relationships, we've got a scoring system. Oh, he's dismissive to the waiter? Point deducted. Inability to have deep conversation? Points deducted. Wow, sure, to their own, no judgment, but personally, it screams kindergarten, not romance. That phase can be really hard because we're so caught up in assessment mode. But here's the game changer. Once you're officially in a relationship, it's no longer you versus them scenario. Picture it more like a teaming up to piece together a jigsaw puzzle. Mistakes? Sure, you make them, lots of them. But hey, you're not flying solo this time. You can communicate, you can adjust, you can tackle issues side by side. And the scoring? Not anymore. Your goal isn't to meet some societal standard of perfect couple. You're aiming for what feels right for the both of you. There was a scene in Big Bang Theory where Sheldon and Amy took a test for their relationship and scored about 8.2, yeah. While Penny didn't want to take the test even when they're already engaged.
Just because Penny and I are very different people does not mean that we're a bad couple.
The answer is one simple test away.
Let's just take the test.
No, I don't want to.
Oh, because you know we're going to do bad.
Because it doesn't matter. I don't care if we're a 10 or a 2.
Or a 1. A 1 is possible.
Marriage is scary. You're scared, I'm scared, but it doesn't make me not want to do it. It just makes me want to hold your hand and do it with you.
Leonard. It would make me so happy if you said things like that.
We got an 8.2. Trust me, you're happy.
The real win? Making each other genuinely happy and fulfilled. I personally really love the next lesson. Remove yourself from a spotlight. Yesterday, I received a very angry text from my friend. I'm so pissed off by her. Every post of her, I'm gonna block her. What happened? Well, taking a closer look, he was complaining about some social media post from a mutual friend, from a girl that we both know from uni. So, as my friend described, every time she gets a new boyfriend, she would document her entire relationship on WeChat official account, which is like a blogging platform. And she would always write lengthy essays every single day about their meetings, dates, and intimate details, making their love story accessible as serialized novel for everyone. The reason why my friend subscribed in the first place was because he was very intrigued by the bad part. But there is a limit even for him when he just couldn't take it anymore. And that isn't a one-off incident. I noticed a pattern. Each of her relationship would end dramatically, bitterly, and most notably, publicly. All these tens and thousands of words couldn't save their relationship from a swift and public end. So that made me wonder, why would someone do that? In China, there is a saying, 秀恩爱死得快, which roughly translates to the more you flaunt your love on social media, the quicker your relationship will die. There's a potential explanation in the book attached, which is called activated attachment system. Among all the 3 attachment styles, secure, anxious, and avoidant, when individuals feel they are not getting enough from their relationships, mostly anxious avoidant types, they might overshare with others or on public platforms because psychologically, this sharing creates a sense of closeness with that partner. So this entire behavior of oversharing indicates a lack of actual intimacy in the relationship. And that's where the real problem lies. Her example might be a little bit extreme, but we all know those couples, right? The ones who can't help but posting every luxurious holiday, every expensive gift, or even every intimate detail. At the end of the day, your happiness shouldn't be validated by an audience, whoever that is. If you know you're fulfilled in your relationship, that in itself should be more than that. Which reminds me of the next lesson. Keep it private. Others should only know what you want them to know. This is a very common trap, especially among women who might share their relationship hiccup with close friend or family, hoping for support, only to have those same friends or family suggest a breakup. And when the couple get back together again, it's the friend or family member who's seen as a villain, accusing of trying to drive a wedge in that relationship. And suddenly, it's no longer just the couple against the problem, it's the couple against the friend/family. One crucial aspect of maintaining a healthy relationship is to understand the balance between what stays private and what gets aired out, especially when it comes to the hiccups and hurdles you face as a couple. Sure, for significant issues where you genuinely need guidance, you should seek help whenever necessary. However, constantly complaining or painting an unflattering picture of your partner to friends or family can backfire. The person who knows best about your relationship is always yourself. Lesson number 10, communication. I leave it to almost the end because it's so cliche, but also so important. It's probably the lesson that I mentioned most from all the friends I interviewed. I quite like the saying, there's no couple who don't have a fight. There's only couple who don't know how to have a fight. Very often, we try to avoid any conflict, so everything appears okay, appears peaceful on the surface. But the book Power of Discourse said that if you know how to resolve a conflict, if you know how to communicate, it will actually strengthen your relationship. Some say, view intimacy as wealth. It's something you spend, and yes, you can run out, but you can also work to accumulate it. Remember, though, it's often easier to deplete than to build, and the fallout from a shortfall can be profound. Some say, don't hold things in and force your partner to play the guessing game. No one can read other people's mind. Even your parents are not able to do that, not to mention a stranger a few years ago. Some say, the closer we are to someone, the more our words can hurt the person. Some said, it's not you against me, it's both of us against the problem together. Understanding that neither is the problem is a vital step in resolving conflicts. Some said it's crucial not to measure your partner's needs against your own standards, as this is when discord occurs. Your normal might be their exceptional, and vice versa. So always remember to avoid harsh words at any cost. She also recommended the book Nonviolent Communication. Focus on your own needs instead of what is wrong with others. There are two main parts. Part one is, what is alive in you? Or say, what are you feeling? The second part is, what would make life more wonderful? Which is, do you have any unfulfilled needs? And there are some fake feelings.
Let us give you a couple of examples where people think they are expressing a feeling, when in fact they are expressing an opinion, a criticism, or a moral judgment. Number 1, when I feel is followed by that, like, or as if. For example, I feel like you should know better. Number 2, when I feel is used together with pronouns. For example, I feel I am constantly working. Number 3, when I feel is used with names or nouns. For example, referring to people, I feel Amy has acted irresponsibly. None of these statements is actually letting the other person know what you are feeling. Instead, you should simply name the emotion you are feeling without any judgment. For example, I feel sad because, or I feel angry since, and so on.
The more directly we can connect our feelings and our needs, the easier it is for others to respond compassionately. What I particularly value and learned from my boyfriend is to regularly check in. He often concludes our serious communication with, any other concerns? It shows that he is attentive and ensures we cover all ground before moving on. It's not just about resolving issues, but also about nurturing an environment of open communication. Personally, I have huge people-pleasing tendency, which means 100% open communication is not my norm. But every time he encourages me, this creates more and more psychological safety for me to try to be more and more open the next time. I love an analogy that I've heard. Relationship is not a glass. You have a crack and you throw it away and get a new one. Relationship is more like a plain cloth. Every time there is a hole, you add a patch to it to make it complete again. And over time, you get a more colorful cloth, which is called your relationship. How beautiful is that? Here's the last lesson. It's very simple, just one word, cherish. Earlier this year, I came back to my undergrad university. And when I was talking to a friend, I was like, wow, it's such a great experience. All these fond memories just came back. All the teaching buildings, the classrooms, everything. I love that. You should go back to the campus as soon as possible. But his response was like, never. Then he explained he had recently ended a relationship with his university girlfriend, and every nook of the campus was a reminder of the moments they had shared, bringing more pain than nostalgia. So when I asked what's your biggest lesson from your past relationships, he thought about for quite a few days and started her answer with just one word, cherish. Then he continued with a heartfelt message, which I'll quote directly here. Every couple of passionate love feels bliss, wholeheartedly committed to each other, often without thought of return or any cost. These experiences melt into memories that can be triggered by a song, some food, or a familiar street, ambushing you with waves of nostalgia. But by then, perhaps the two people involved are no longer together. Therefore, it's worthwhile to treat every day as if it's the last, living without regrets and doing right by each other. His sentiments really extend beyond the pain of breakup. That includes all forms of separation, whether it's emotional distance, it's growing apart, or even the unforeseen instant life throws at you. I would say it's the unpredictability of tomorrow. I once watched a video of a couple discussing the inevitable. What if one of them were to leave this world before the other? The mere thought brought them to tears immediately. People often enter relationships with an end goal in their mind. But what truly defines the end? Is it a ring on your finger? Is it the birth of your first child? Or is it witnessing each other's final breath? Does a tangible result even exist? Regardless of whether a relationship is fleeting or lasts until the final days, the time we have with each other is always finite. We are mere mortals, and the best we can do, the only thing within our power, is to cherish each other every single day and make every day the happiest it can be. I like to conclude today's episode with some lyrics from a song titled Love Till Death. Despite its very dramatic name, I really love how profound and how meaningful the lyrics are. It goes like this. Love each day as if it's your last. Every minute and second so beautiful it brings tears to our eyes. Disregard the opinions of onlookers, whether good or bad. As long as you have the courage to follow me, love doesn't need to be meticulously planned. Kisses and hugs guided by our feelings make us happy. Live in the present. Don't hold back. Many miracles only exist because we believe in them. Okay, so they are the 10 lessons. Even after all these stories and advice, I'm not relationship expert. Not even slightly close, given the lack of practical experience. Honestly, I might be replaying this episode often for myself, reminding me of all the lessons shared. But I am all in, eager to learn and grow in this relationship journey, and I believe practice makes perfect. These lessons can only be truly learned in real life. We are all in this together, learning one lesson at a time. Wishing you all the love in the world, wishing you have already found or will soon find someone worthy of applying these lessons with. This is for today's episode of Toolkit for Quarterlife. You can find it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to a podcast. You can also follow the channel on Instagram, Toolkit for Quarterlife. The link can be found in the show notes. If you like what you've been hearing so far, please follow the show and leave a comment. This will be extremely helpful to me. This will be extremely, extremely helpful. Tell me what you love about this episode, what is your favorite episode, or what you want to hear me talk about in the future. I'm your friend Kitty, as in Hello Kitty. Have a good rest of your day. See you in the next episode.